NASA as we begin our first subcommittee hearing of the 113th Congress. And I just want to say how much I am looking forward to working with you and with the members of our subcommittee. We do share a deep passion together for the work of the agencies we have responsibility for overseeing. And I'm looking forward to the prospects of this Congress and us working together, as I know we will. We do have a lot on our plate during this Congress, including helping to set the future direction of the nation's civilian space program through the upcoming NASA reauthorization. And like you, I consider NASA's space and aeronautics program an integral part of America's innovation agenda. And I want to work to ensure that they remain strong and that they are fit for the challenges of the 21st century. This brings us to today's hearing. I want to start by joining you in welcoming all of our witnesses, including my good friend Chairman Wolf and Representative Culberson, the original sponsors of the Space Leadership Preservation Act of 2013, to give us their perspectives on what it will take for America's space program and to remain preeminent and vital. I want to thank Chairman Wolf for your support and help also with the resources that are required for the James Webb Space Telescope, really important to both our districts. The stated purpose of the bill would put it this way: to ensure that the American space program will always be the best in the world, and to ensure that America will always be able to preserve and protect our leadership in the exploration of outer space and the high ground of the future. That's a sentiment I want you to know that I share wholeheartedly and endorse, and I look forward to hearing your views as I do the views of the witnesses on our second panel. Very specifically, the bill seeks to set in statute the term of the NASA administrator, to create a board of directors for the agency, and to direct that board, among other functions, to create a budget for NASA that would be transmitted to the Congress each year in advance of the President's fiscal year budget request. Now, it's been said that this bill attempts to model NASA's management on that of the National Science Foundation, but I would note that there are differences between the NASA and the NSF. They are very different agencies. One of the NSF's main functions is to issue grants for research. NASA, on the other hand, is an R&D agency. It has multiple missions and development programs, and it has operational responsibilities for, among other things, the International Space Station. The National Science Board, which governs the NSF jointly with the Director, doesn't provide a budget to the Congress independently of the Director, as is proposed in this legislation. I'd also note that a statutory term for the Administrator doesn't necessarily ensure stability at an agency, but I am concerned about the stability of NASA, and I think it would be helpful to consider a term that spans administrations and that does create the kind of management stability that's needed at the agency. Nonetheless, for example, the current NSF Director has announced his intentions to leave the NSF only 2.5 years into his 6th statutory term. So that alone doesn't ensure that you have the kind of stability that all of us are seeking. We have to also remember that NASA is not a business and can't operate as a business. It has different functions, even though we want to seek efficiency of taxpayer resources and that we value those efficiencies. We have to be clear about the distinctions between NASA and the work that it does in promoting our civilian space program and operating it, and the work that a conventional corporation or business would do. So it's not a direct transferable model. I also have questions about the implications of the proposals for the implementation of congressional direction that's spelled out in legislation, as well as potential unintended consequences. So I hope that we have an opportunity to explore those. And I do have some concerns right now for NASA, for the rest of the Federal Government, and for the nation as a whole, as we try to figure out resources in it and what I believe is an already strapped resource environment for the space agency. Those questions are looming on us even as this week comes to a close. And so while today's hearing will consider legislation that would stabilize NASA's direction, the sad truth is that we're in a Congress and we have to continually contribute to the agency's funding, but we also contribute right now in this environment to its instability and to the mismatch of resources with expectations. If we expect NASA to do great things, and I know that all of us want NASA to do great things, want it to inspire this next generation, we know that its employees have to have the kind of stability that they need to do the oversight that's important. And my experience working out at Goddard Space Flight Center is that whether you're a contractor or whether you're a civilian employee, you work in the same environment, and all of us used to just say we work at NASA. We never made those distinctions, and I think that the way that we need to think about the agency has to reflect that. Just a few months ago, as we all watched the Curiosity land on Mars, along with dozens, really actually hundreds of young people over at Goddard Space Flight Center, their enthusiasm was electrifying. They're the nation's future. Our agency has to reflect that future, and with that, I'd close. Thank you.